Welcome to the meeting of the Joint Subcommittee to monitor the implementation of the West Kowloon Cultural District project. So let's invite the administration in and also representatives from the authority.
早晨，慢慢，早晨。今日我哋好歡迎
So I would like to welcome representatives from the authority. Item 1 on the agenda, roles and functions of the consultation panel of the West Kowloon Cultural District Authority. I understand that we are going to have a PowerPoint presentation. All right. So who from the authority will give us the presentation? I understand that we will be briefed on the roles and functions of the consultation panel.
Chairman, and thanks members of the subcommittee. I have with me today Professor John Long, the chair of the consultation panel, and Bonnie Wong, who services the panel. She will do the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation. I just thought I'd make a couple of quick points by way of introduction, following on from the meeting that took place on the 28th of May. Mr. Chairman and the members of the committee, I'd just like to apologise for not, excuse me, for not being here on the 28th of May due to the death of my father in Australia, and my apologies for having to be away. Thank you for your indulgence. Before we brief the joint subcommittee about the consultation panel, I would like to take the opportunity to just briefly make a few points that I think came from the discussion on the 28th of May about the development of the Batch 3 facilities, which the cultural sector expressed some concerns about after the last meeting. As our board chairman, the Chief Secretary Carrie Lam, clarified a few days later at a public function, the West Kowloon Cultural District excuse me, shall remain intact as a major cultural project, and the 40-hectare harbourfront site will be developed into a cultural district as planned. Mrs Lam reiterated the government's commitment in developing the West Kowloon Cultural District. In terms of how West Kowloon should be developed, we have always emphasised the organic growth approach, which is supported by the public as indicated through the public engagement exercise, as well as the experience from similar projects outside Hong Kong and China. The organic growth approach means that we should be building in phases based on actual situations. We are confident that Batch 1 and Batch 2 facilities, which we've outlined and we have talked to the committee about, can be built within the $21.6 billion endowment, which, as you now know, has grown to $24 billion. As regards Batch 3 facilities, the authority and the government will critically review the implementation program, that is, how and when they should be developed at an appropriate time. Batch 3 facilities will definitely be developed, but we need to carefully consider the timing, taking into account actual situations as the project develops. I hope that this reassures the cultural sector and the community that we are committed to developing the West Kowloon Cultural District as planned. As you well know, that public views have always been a critical part of the plan as we develop this project. and hence the establishment of the consultation panel was stipulated in the audience. So it now gives me great pleasure to introduce and invite the chairman of the panel, Professor John Leong, to say a few words by way of introduction. Thanks, Professor.
Yes, Professor Leong. Good morning, Chairman. Good morning, members. The WKCD is a large-scale cultural project which belongs to Hong Kong people. I understand that different sectors in the community do have a lot of expectations concerning the WKCD project. Under the ordinance, Section 20, the board needs to set up a consultation panel to gather public views on matters related to the functions of the authority. And so the CP mainly acts as a bridge. We have representatives from the cultural sector, the financial services sector, and from members of the public. We want to know the public's views about the development of the WKCD. Since 2008 till now, we have progressed from the planning stage to the development stage. And the functions and roles of the consultation panel have also changed with the passage of time. I assumed office in March 2013. The consultation panel has since then discussed the use and the management of the park, and also the temporary uses of WKCD, the English translation for the C3 Center. And in fact, a specific task force has been set up to spearhead an engagement exercise to collect public views and ideas on the future use and management of the park. Now, we understand that we need to take into account the demands of different sectors, different members of the public in the park. But then we have to resolve possible conflicts. And so we need to come up with a suitable mode of management. That's why we have this public engagement exercise to collect public views. And now I will invite Ms. Bonnie Wong, Director of the Chief Executive Officer's Office, to tell you more about the work of the consultation panel. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. All right, that's all. That's all. No, the presentation has not begun. But that's all from me, says Professor Leong. Yes, Bonnie. Yes, I will briefly talk about the roles and functions of the consultation panel. As members are aware, this consultation panel was established by the board under Section 20 of the WKCDA ordinance. Section 20 says that a consultation panel needs to be established to gather public views on matters relevant to the functions of the authority. And when the panel was set up, there were 19 members. From 2009 to 2011, there were 3 stages of public engagement. In July 2009, 3 conceptual plans were selected. But before the selection, there was stage 1, public engagement, so that the 3 groups knew the public's expectations about the development of the hardware and the software with regard to HKCDA. And so we had stage 1, public engagement from October 2009 to January 2010. And then from August to November 2010, the 3 conceptual plans were presented to the public. The public preferred Foster and Partners concept of a city park, the green features, the public open space, the very spacious park, and also the concept of accessibility. And so the conceptual plan by Foster and Partners was adopted as the basis, and the merits of the 2 other concepts were also incorporated into this concept.
In September 2011, this was exhibited, and there was general support, and we were told that the public would like to look forward to the early implementation. During the 3 stages, the consultation panel took a very active role. They sort of steered and led the consultation exercise. Upon completion of the 3 stages, members then started to consider one point, that is about the way forward. The DP, the development plan, has been submitted to the Town Planning Board for approval. In 2012, the CP reviewed its role and functions. It was agreed that they should encourage the public to participate. They should provide themselves as a forum. So for their current terms of reference, they played a role as a bridge between the authority and the public. The CP members promote the West Kowloon Cultural District with a view to enhancing public's understanding of the project. The panel also reflects public expectations and views to authority, and it will conduct its consultations in an open and transparent manner. Now, for the time being, as to the most important work, well, the plan has been approved by the Town Planning Board, so we are starting to design and construct certain facilities. But of course, we know that there is a lot of public expectation about the park at the West Kowloon Park. The public would like to see the park being managed differently from those under the LCSD, and therefore the CP would like to carry out a small-scale public survey. And we have already started it, and we have already invited Dr. Hui to be responsible for the conduct of the survey. We have an online survey, and there are also focus group discussions. As of now, we have already received over 2,000 completed questionnaires. For the team under Professor Hui, they will be responsible for the analysis of the findings. So we'll continue to fulfill our role in promoting the WKCD, enhance the public's understanding of the WKCD, and reflect the public's expectations and views to the authority. I think I would pause here as far as my presentation goes. All right, thank you. From the WKCDA, does anybody else would like to speak? If not, what about administration? No? Then I'll open the floor to members for questions. First of all, Emily Lau, 4 minutes each. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, I would like to send my condolences to Mr. Lynch. We feel sorry for the passing away of his father. We would like to send our condolences to him and his family members. We are glad to have Professor John Leung, Chair of the CP, with us today. Now, the development of WKCD is at the stage that we are worried, we are sad, and we are afraid. Last time, the CS4A said that for phase 3, there would be no determination depending on the level of our cultural development. Now, I've been told that the authority did not actually have a discussion as such. So it seems that the CS4A just said something off the cuff. Now, today, once again, we see a ratification. So it seems that people are of the view that they would like to thank for the delay of the XRL. And then the XRL would say that they're grateful, they are glad to see that there was a black rainstorm warning signal on that day. Now, we're talking about $20 billion. And Ms. Ada Wong wrote an article. In that article, she said whether she could see any future for the WKCD because the government is unreasonable and the LegCo is also making it difficult. So it seems that nothing can be done. And the consultation panel cannot really have a say in overseeing the progress of the works. As to what was said just now, of course, is useful, but my question is, do you know that perhaps the project won't be uncompleted all the time, but I think probably some blame will be put on the XRL, and then there is this worry about the lack of adequate money. Ms. Ada Wong has said that the panel lacks people with long-term vision for cultural development. There is no big breakthrough as a result. So Ms. Wong has said that perhaps the panel should be disbanded. But I don't think that can resolve the problem. Now, Professor Leung, are you aware of the anxiety of the community? We look forward to having it. Like it or not, we've already set aside $20 billion for this purpose. So what is your recommendation for the way forward? Professor Leung, thank you, Ms. Lau, for your question. We do have a very limited terms of reference. We were set up under Section 20 of the Ordinance. As to the main purpose, as it has been repeated just now, we act as a bridge. We promote the WKCD. We reflect the views, and we have to make sure the consultations are open and transparent. So we can see that we have a very limited scope as far as our functions are concerned. So as of now, I think most people have a lot of expectations about the park. I think that's for the time being. Not just the cultural sector will be using the park. Many other people would also be visiting the park. So other than the CG Center or the Empress, I'm sure the WKCD park will be something which will start construction. So we believe that it is an area that is worth our involvement, our work. If I may elaborate on this point, monitoring is very important. Different members of the community have got different requests. Some would like to be allowed to go skateboarding. Others want to be allowed to take their pets there. So it is possible that there may be conflicts, but we want to make sure that the park is popular. Yes, we do agree to have a park, Mr. Chairman. Just now, I was asking a much broader question. Now, I think Dr. Leung is also a member of the authority. No, I'm not. Whether you are or you aren't, still I hope that you can bring back such views to the authority and talk to the government. You may have a very good park. Of course, we must have a park, otherwise we don't even have anything at all. But please understand our anxiety. And it seems that things don't look right. I asked the CS4A to say that she should spend more time on overseeing it. Now, she said that Ms. Lau doesn't want me to do it, then I would stay away from it. I said I didn't ask you to stay away from it. Now, we all want to have it, and we want it to be done properly. So whether you are a member of the authority or not, please make sure that you bring back the message. Chair, I think it's good to have this meeting. In a moment, the deputations will have a lot to say, and not just about the software, because we get the impression that the government may want to get away from it all. Does any other member wish to speak? No? Then, Deputy Chair. Mr. Chairman, for the consultation panel, well, during the course of legislation, the civic party fought hard to get it, and then we had successfully introduced Section 20 of the ordinance. For the joint committee, we went to Bilbao and we went to have a look of the Metropolis 20. Just now, Professor Leong said that he has only got a very limited scope. I think this is because the authority hasn't been faithful in discharging or enforcing the ordinance. I think they could have issued guidelines for the CP. Ms. Lau talked about the problems faced by the WKCD. It seems that the government would like to scale down the project. It seems that we aren't getting what we have hoped for. In a moment, the cultural sector would come forward to tell you. Probably they would say that interaction with the cultural sector is inadequate. Now, for the idea of having the CP, I think at the time we said that we would like to have an public forum, an open forum, so the people have different views, will have a platform to have a debate, and they can interact with each other, they can fight with each other, all in the public domain. And so, Professor Leong, please take a look of how Metropolis 30 carries this out. Now, you may very well have certain views. Now, even the basement is not certain. We don't know whether we're going to get the basement or not. So it's better if we have a platform so that it is a standing mechanism, so that stakeholders with different interests can come to have a debate with each other. It doesn't matter if they would collide with each other. I think it's much better to do it in the public than have it done behind closed doors, or allow the government to give pressure, to exert pressure on the authority members, and then the cultural sector will know nothing about it. When we went to Bilbao, I think the most attractive point was that issues could be raised, and then in front of TV cameras, members were able to have a public debate. So, Chair, maybe in a moment you can direct us as to how to conduct the discussion. Now, for the CP to play its role properly, I think probably we need to provide more resources. Yes, I know that there isn't enough money, but it depends on how you spend your money, and then you can take the way forward. Now, Ms. Wong will be setting the agenda, but I don't think we can play the role as that played by Metropolis 30. So agenda setting should be guided a particular set of philosophies and logic. I think the Secretariat will play a very important role. That's what the Metropolis 30 is doing. And I just wonder if we can sort of steer back to its original role, enhance the manpower resources, provide a secretariat for the CP, please. So maybe WKCD can answer.
Chairman, two members of the consultation panel also members of the authority, and they are Mr. Ronald Cully and Mr. Alan Seaman, and they are present at most of our meetings. I want to say that I have heard your comments very clearly, Mr. Alan Leung. In fact, last time when we had a meeting, we discussed our terms of reference, or we intended to discuss our terms of reference. But then because certain items on the agenda overran, we didn't have sufficient members to discuss the terms of reference. So we'll discuss this next time. Mr. Alan Leung said that we didn't really have a lot of resources. We only hold meetings and then we give views and comments to the authority. Mr. Alan Leung, I think your suggestion is a very good one. And at our next meeting, we'll discuss your suggestion. And I'm sure the two board members on the consultation panel will reflect the views of the consultation panel to the board. Yes, Chairman. Now, I want to say that the authority hasn't really attached too much importance to the consultation panel. Now, in fact, I can remember in the Bills Committee, members fought very hard for the setting up of the consultation panel. I remember I had a heated discussion with Ms. Esther Leung in the Bills Committee. She said we might not have something like Metropolis 30, and then she promised to state in the ordinance that there would at least be one meeting per year. And now we can see that in most cases they only have annual meetings. But I understand Professor Leung will be doing more. So I'll queue up again. All right, so 4 minutes for each member. So previously, the CP only had annual meetings. And no wonder why the consultation panel is discussing its terms of reference only now, when it was set up as early as in 2009. In fact, Ms. Ada Wong once said that the CP might as well be scrapped. Now, in fact, all the members of the CP are celebrities. You are all very busy people, and your terms of reference are so limited, and you are all very busy people. So, I don't think this consultation panel is really doing its job in gathering public views. Now, Professor Leung, I've known you for a long time. It seems that the CP is just a rubber stamp. Yes, I understand that a task force has been set up, but Professor Leung, what is your thinking concerning the roles and functions of this consultation panel? Now, I don't think we are a rubber stamp. I think the consultation or the public engagement exercise is important and useful. This is the cultural district, but I think the park is also very important. And so the public engagement exercise for the park is important. We hope to complete the park as soon as possible so that the public can use the park and that there will not be any conflicts arising from the use of the park. But I want to say that we have our constraints. But then, as I have said just now, there are 2 board members sitting on the consultation panel. And next time, we'll be discussing our terms of reference in detail. I agree with you. We have members in the panel from different sectors with different expertise, and we should be able to do a very good job. Now, I just want to say that that there are so many talents sitting on this consultation panel, and they are not there for window dressing purpose. This consultation panel only has annual meetings. Concerning procurement, development of the West WKCD, there is so much concern in society. So how come the consultation panel has not held meetings to discuss these controversial issues. So CEO, please do not waste these people's time. So what is the positioning of the consultation panel in your view, CEO? Is it that it's the international practice that members are appointed to sit on the consultation panel just for window dressing purpose? Home Affairs Bureau. Professor Leung has assumed office as chairman. And in fact, we have had new initiatives. At the last meeting, the authority had a thorough discussion and an update on the hardware and the software. And the consultation panel is a platform to listen to and to gather public views for the benefit of the authority. And the forum is important to gather public views. If the consultation panel thinks that there are roles that it can play to help the authority gather public views effectively, the consultation panel can of course do that. Some people say that the consultation panel doesn't have a lot of resources. But then, as we can see in the 3-stage public engagement exercise, the authority deployed necessary resources to carry out the public engagement exercise. And then concerning the engagement exercise to collect public views on the park, when the CP thinks that there is a need to carry out a survey, when the CP thinks there is a need to get a consultant to help with its work, then the authority will make available the necessary resources. In fact, the consultation panel intends to, at the next meeting, discuss how the consultation panel can play a greater role. And if the consultation panel thinks that it needs resources to do its work, I'm sure the authority will also provide such resources. Mr. Lynch, do you have any brief responses? Mr. Lynch.
Mr. Chairman, in response to your question, clearly the panel is able to meet whenever they want to meet if there are issues. For the period from 2009 to 2013, when we were going through the public engagement exercise, the panel was very heavily engaged in the links between the community on the development of the prepared master plan and then on the development of the development plan. It needs to be recognised that the consultation panel does sit alongside the board, the M+ committee, the Performing Arts Committee, the Remuneration Committee, the IT Committee, the Audit Committee, the Executive Committee and the Development Committee, all of which are comprised of some members of the consultation panel and representative of the arts community and the broader community. And clearly the interrelationship between those day-to-day committees, which are also mostly set up under the ordinance, is quite important. We recognise the ongoing issues in terms of consultation, but I think the imperative that we have felt from the discussions, particularly within the LegCo, is that there were areas of focus that were critical, and the park being the one that we need to realise by the end of 2015, it was absolutely critical that the consultation panel be the driving force to help us make sure that the bylaws, the method of operation and the design of the park were going to fit the long-term aspirations of both the development plan and the general public. So we're very happy to be able to make sure that there are appropriate resources and appropriate support for the panel as we move forward.
Now, I think the Home Affairs Bureau has to step up its work. Now, I think this consultation panel has been handicapped by the authority. You have to look at the functions of the consultation panel again. How can it operate in this present manner? Yes, Executive Chair, I want to first of all send my condolences to Mr. Lynch. We're now discussing the roles and functions of the consultation panel. I know Professor Leung. He is a gentleman, a very kind person indeed. But then he faces a lot of constraints in his work. And I thank the Deputy Chairman for having reminded us of the legislative intent behind Section 20, how he fought hard with the administration for the setting up of a consultation panel under the authority. So, Professor Leung, we are not trying to criticize you or your work. So we just hope that in the future meetings of the consultation panel, you can rely on the support you get from LegCo. I hope that you can make use of this support to build much stronger links with the public and with the cultural sector, and please try to fight for more resources for your work from the authority. Now, I understand that Section 20 of the ordinance is quite broadly worded, and I understand that there are two board members sitting on the consultation panel. And I can see from para 4 of our paper that your functions are very clear: to play the role of a bridge between the authority and the public, to promote the cultural district, to enhance the public's understanding of the project, to reflect the public's expectations to the CDA, WKCDA, and to ensure that consultations are conducted in an open and transparent manner. And so I am sure the consultation panel can rely on these 4 functions to do more work, to secure more resources from the authority. I understand that there are a lot of concerns in the community concerning the way forward for the WKCDA. It seems that there is a bottleneck situation, and I think this consultation panel should act as an effective platform for the public to air their views. Now, I want to tell the Home Affairs Bureau this. It's true that the WKCDA has its statutory status and functions, but then the board members are appointed by you, and in fact, I think you are an important partner of the authority. And so I think you should also try to promote the functions and roles of the consultation panel. So I understand that the consultation panel is going to have another meeting in the future. So please come back to us and tell us what ambitious plans you have, what ambitious plans the consultation panel has. And I hope that you can develop your so-called soft strength. And then in the consultation panel, Chairman, there are 2 LegCo members. But then the 2 LegCo members are not members of this subcommittee. So, Chairman, can you please also invite them to come to meet us? Now, as you have said, Chairman, these are talents. All these members are talents, and I don't think they should only meet once a year. I want to know whether the members of the consultation panel are appointed by the Home Affairs Bureau or the authority, by the authority. Pauline? Ms. Wong? Ms. Bonnie Wong. Chairman, the members were appointed by the authority in 2008. In other words, we sitting here did not appoint them. They were appointed 6 years ago. And then last year, Professor Leung assumed office, and there were 2 meetings held last year. And that was because a decision had to be made on the roles and functions of the consultation panel. The three-stage engagement exercise came to an end. The consultation panel needed to map out its way forward, and it was decided that there would be the public engagement exercise on the park. In fact, I did talk to Mr. Alan Leung. I read the previous papers. Mr. Alan Leung wanted to promote the Metropolis 30 of Bilbao. The purpose was not to play a monitoring role. We already have monitoring by the Home Affairs Bureau. We already have monitoring by the LegCo. And in fact, consultation panel members were of the view that we could not go on with the engagement, public engagement forever, so work should start. And so this consultation panel serves as a bridge between the authority and the public. The consultation panel makes the public understand what the authority is doing. There are so many concerns, so many criticisms in society because the public do not know what the authority is doing. They just hear certain news, certain rumors. So this consultation panel, its main task, its main function is to let the public understand what the authority is doing or has been doing.
Thank you for clarifying who appointed the elite members of the CP. Now, we want a group of people who can play the role and discharge the functions of the CP. So they should be sort of facilitated in discharging their functions. So if resources are needed to tie in with this goal, say, for example, as the Deputy Chair has suggested, perhaps there should be a Secretariat for it, then we should explore how resources should be provided to tie in with that objective. Ms. Chen Yun-hen, Mr. Chairman, for the CP of the WKCD, I did have a word with Ms. Wong. I had suggested that perhaps we should start afresh. Maybe it's unfair to Professor Leung because I talked to Ms. Wong. Yes, we cannot deny that all the CP members are elite members. During the drawing up of the bill, we proposed this idea and the government took it on board. But then the outcome is very different from what we earlier conceived. Now, probably the CP members just had a talk. I think the CP should be independent and you should not come under the authority. So you shouldn't be taking orders from the authority. You should be forward-looking. There are certain criticisms against the CP, even CP members, among whom we know Ms. Ada Wong has also got comments, criticisms about the CP. So I would suggest that we just reconstitute the CP once again. Understand that there were certain members who never attended the meetings or only attended infrequently. You need to listen to the views from different quarters of life. So, Professor Leung, I think you need to talk to the government. It is worrying for this mode to continue. Otherwise, it will become just part of the chess game of the authority. When there is a disaster, you'll be asked to come to the forefront and try to help. But when there's credit, it is not to be attributed to you. Now, the project cost is escalating from $21.6 billion. It seems that it is going to go beyond $30 billion. I think the ultimate sum would be quite scary. So, Professor Leung, I think people just wonder whether we need to spend so much money to build expensive facilities like Emprise and City Center. Of course, we all want something to be nice, but then we have to bear in mind the money that is available. And given the numerous delays, then you would know what impacts there will be on the project itself. Now, my question is, now Professor Leung is very busy, and he has been appointed and is willing to take up the job. So I think you should start afresh and then let him do the work properly. I don't think they should take the orders or the agenda from you. Well, I have been advocating the rejuvenation of the Kata Nala. I won't go into the details. The government told us that there was a consultation about the Kata Nala, but then it was administration-led, and then it could not be turned into Kata River because it was too small in scale. And despite the consultation in the early stage, as a result of our advocation, the project was scrapped, and then consultation was done afresh. So, Professor Leung, I'm afraid that you would only become the scapegoat. You would only be there to try to diffuse the problem. Now, Professor Leung, you are very busy, and still you're willing to take up this job. So I'm sure you are very dedicated and you're committed. You surely want to do something for the community of Hong Kong. So don't let yourself to become one of the elements in the chess game. Professor Leung, all the issues have to be discussed. Now, I think we need to look into the role and functions of the CP when it was first established. I think as it stands, the law is quite general in this point. Today, many members have spoken. I'm sure we will reflect your concerns to our CP members, among whom there are two board members of the WKCDA. I'm sure the HAB is fully supportive of our work. I think the HAB must play a more positive and active role. Otherwise, it won't be different from what it was like in the past. Now, you have appointed the chair. I think the chairman of the CP should be given the power to suggest members to sit on the CP. I think the CP cannot really play the role of consultation. Ms. Wong, I think the panel is being deployed as a window dressing exercise. It doesn't help if there is only 1 or 2 meetings a year. Next, Ms. Sit Ho. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm grateful to Alan Leung for refreshing our memory with the previous discussion. Now, as to the performance of the CP, we visited Bilbao. I think the CP is very different from the one that we got in mind after that visit. At first, we thought it would be an annual event. An event will be well regarded by everybody in the cultural sector. And then the public experience and new members of the cultural sector will come together, talk about cultural policies and how resources are to be distributed, allocated. So in English, I would use the term a convention. It should be pitched at such a level instead of just having 20 members or so, and then they are merely tasked with the job of doing a public survey. So the CP as it stands is quite a far cry from what we used to have in mind after the visit to Bilbao. Now, certain CP members have said that the CP isn't really for the construction of the hardware. Now, before the WKCD comes into operation, I think the CP can play a role that is the development of the cultural software and how we are making use of the free space and how we are going to manage the park. I think we understand that there will be such a bylaws for the park, and then it will be different from those applicable to LCC parks. So I'm sure the CP has got a role to play, and I also look forward to the CP being the unit to prepare for the annual event of the convention. Now, of course, we've been invited to comment on the park, but then, yes, I won't say that the focus group discussion is not going to be useful, but it cannot replace the convention which gathers everybody together, because on that forum, people from different sectors, people of different interests can come together to have an interaction and exchange of ideas. And then from that event, we will form the mainstream idea as to how our public space, how our cultural policies should go. Now, you have got the online surveys, you have got the focus group discussions, but I don't think they can really achieve what we have got in mind. Now, for the CP membership, yes, some of them are professionals, but I'm afraid not all of them know much about cultural policies. They may very well be concert goers, but we are really concerned about the allocation of resources. And then the CIS4A said that until our artistic standards are high, we may not be getting the facilities. So I think the CP has this role to play as well. That is, for certain facilities, there isn't a firm date to have them completed. So you have to make sure that the UKCD won't become a mini property, a mini real estate development, because we are afraid that you will eventually be getting more luxury flats instead of getting cultural facilities. Ms. Abraham Shank, 4 minutes. I fully support the consultation panel. This is because consultation is always better than having no consultation at all. So we must give recognition to its previous contribution. We mustn't dismiss it lightly. As to its way forward, I think we can base on the previous work done. Now, it has got a very wide scope. It will be difficult to consult so many people on so much, from a real estate project to a cultural project to a public space project. Culture comes from people. So if you don't consult, if you don't gather the views, then you are losing sight of the essence, because culture is not supposed to be the monopoly of the artistic circle only. So we have to understand the folklore as well. We have got a new chair for the CP. I think the CP should be given the chance to play its role. Usually, the government would only invite the obedient members. But does it mean that they are all fit and proper? No. Chair, you are an art lover. But it's puzzling to see that we haven't got Mr. Alan Leung being incorporated into the CP. And you can act as a bridge, and you can speak on behalf of the 3 million voters, of 3 million citizens. But probably the government would check whether you are going to be obedient before you will be appointed. But my point is that we should get people from different parties, different sectors. The CP won't have power, but it doesn't matter. The CP should listen to different views, and then they will give views to the authority. The board of the authority is already a place where you have got their cronies together. They are all friendly with each other. So I would finally say that I still support the CP. All right, thank you.
到10點嘅。
I want to say that, in fact, we should have adjourned this item at 10. All right, so Ms. Helena Wong. Ms. Helena Wong. Chairman, may I refer to the composition of the consultation panel and also the chairmanship? Now, is it true that when the chairman accepted the invitation to be the chairman of the consultation panel, he had not accepted the post of chairman of the hospital authority, right? Now, I understand that the hospital authority is very busy with a number of projects, private, public sector, collaboration, healthcare financing, development of new hospitals, and so on and so forth, and also development of Chinese medicine. So do you really have enough time to give to this consultation panel? Because we do not want a consultation panel to hold only 1 or 2 meetings a year. We hope that the consultation panel can proactively reach out to the academic sector, the cultural sector, and members of the public at large. And as the chairman, you need to steer the work of the consultation panel. So do you think the consultation panel needs another chairman who can devote more time and energy to his work? Or do you think you are capable of doing both jobs well? So this is my question for the chairman of the consultation panel. And then second, now, I agree with some members that the composition of the panel should be changed. And this point has been made by Mr. Abraham Shek and Ms. Chen Yun Han. I understand that there are some district councillors sitting on the consultation panel. Yes, I understand that you want to appoint councillors from the Yau Chim Mong District Council to sit on the consultation panel because West Kowloon Cultural District is in Yau Chim Mong, but most Yau Chim Mong District councillors belong to DAB. And the WKCDA is not for DAB, it's for all the people of Hong Kong. So I hope you can make sure that there is balanced representation in the consultation panel. And there are quite a large number of DAB members on the consultation panel. No, only one, says the chairman. And the others are friends of the DAB. So how can you make sure that there is more balanced representation? So can I ask you how you can make sure that there is more balanced representation in the consultation panel? Professor Leung. Now, Chairman, I want to say that different people make use of their time differently. I can cope with the work of the consultation panel in the present format. But then if there is a huge reappointment exercise, if there are to be major overhauls, then I will have to look at whether I can really cope. But then at the same time, I think we have to be clear as to what the authority wants us to do and what the law, what the ordinance empowers us to do. But anyway, views expressed by members today will be brought back to the consultation panel for its consideration. I want to say that members of the consultation panel give a lot of views. District councils give a lot of views. LegCo members sitting on the consultation panel give a lot of views, but then they do not really speak from the angles of their political parties. Yes, thank you. Ms. Alice Mack, 4 minutes. Chairman, yes, of course, the composition of the panel is important, but I think the system is more important. The idea is good. There is the authority, and there is the consultation panel playing an advisory role, and then there is monitoring by LegCo. But then you think things are rather messy at the moment, and that's because there are problems with the system. Now, Professor, you've just assumed office, but then the authority started work quite some time ago. I think the Home Affairs Bureau and the authority understand very well the functions and roles of the consultation panel. So why have you allowed the work of the consultation panel to be like this? Now, yes, this consultation panel doesn't have too many meetings. But of course, even if it has very frequent meetings, but if it can't discuss things effectively, and that's meaningless. So agenda setting is important. Now, Bonnie, you may have some important issues in mind that you want to consult the consultation panel on, or say if you know that a consultation panel is going to have a meeting, you should try to choose or fix very suitable agenda items for the consultation panel. Right? Is that right? Bonnie, I think, in fact, you should be serving this consultation panel, and in fact, you should not be doing agenda setting. You should try to serve and support the work of the consultation panel. And then, why is it that the Home Affairs Bureau is just watching with folded arms? Why are you so indifferent? You just let the authority do whatever it wants to do with the consultation panel. Home Affairs Bureau, you are responsible for monitoring the work of the authority. How come the Home Affairs Bureau is saying, no, we are not responsible for appointing the members of the consultation panel. The authority appoints the consultation panel. The Home Affairs Bureau has a role to play. You can't just watch with folded arms. Yes, Home Affairs Bureau. Yes, Chairman. Yes, our Bureau understands the importance of this consultation panel. We are concerned about the work of the panel. We understand that the authority does consult the consultation panel. Now, as Bonnie has said, last year there were discussions on the terms of reference. And last month, in the consultation panel, they did intend to discuss their terms of reference. All right, time is running out. So, is the Home Affairs Bureau satisfied with the progress achieved by the consultation panel in discussing and finalizing the terms of reference of the consultation panel? Now, so last year there was some discussion, and there were 4 functions agreed on. So, do you agree? Are you satisfied? You are of the view that the 4 functions are adequate. You are happy with the progress. You are happy with the outcome. Is that right? Yes or no? Are you satisfied with the progress and the outcome? We are of the view that the consultation panel can continue to play a proactive role. All right, so I'll assume that you are not happy. I'll assume that you're not satisfied. Anything from the WKCDA? No? Then second round, Deputy Chairman, and then Chen Yunhan. Deputy Chairman. Chairman. We proposed the mode of Metropolis 30, but I understand that in adopting this mode, a lot of courage is needed. At that time, for Bilbao, for Metropolis 30, there were the 2 universities, and there are about 50 small and medium-sized groups, 22 non-profit making organizations. So all those were fixed. So our original proposal is that the WKCDA belongs to the people of Hong Kong. And so we want all stakeholders to meet through this platform. And this must be an open and transparent platform so that all Hong Kong people can see what is going on. Now we understand that the government is the largest stakeholder, and so it has its interests in mind, and there is a need to exercise check and balance. And that was why in 2008 we thought that the consultation panel would serve as a forum to reconcile different interests, and we hope that comments could be made transparently. Now, Ms. Mack, I can tell you that the government is happy with the present arrangements because it doesn't have the courage to face all the pressure. So, Chairman, now the WKCDA is going to have a meeting soon. So, Chairman, I think the subcommittee should write to the WKCDA expressing its concerns. For example, lack of resources. And then agenda setting. Now, agenda setting should not have been done by Ms. Wong. There should be clear guidelines on who will set the agenda. So, Chairman, I think this subcommittee should write to the authority. They cannot assume that they do not understand what we want. We must write to them. Ms. Chan, I think LegCo must give its support to the professor. The professor is a gentleman. He's a kind person. And he also is the chairman of the hospital authority. We must give him some help and support. We are most unhappy with the present arrangements. I think, the section 20 is quite loosely worded. And I think this is not, the present situation is not something that we find acceptable. Now, Carrie Lam is the chairman of the authority. We should write to her. In fact, I suggested that the composition of the consultation panel be overhauled. Now, I'm not saying that these present members are not capable enough, but it seems, but I think we need members who can try to help achieve some breakthrough. So I want to say that the this consultation structure needs to be revamped. Professor, the cultural sector cannot see eye to eye with the board and the authority. So I think it's important that we give the professor our support. Right, let's write to the authority. Let's write to Carrie Lam. But of course, I don't know whether our discussion will be covered in the media. But I think, I believe Carrie Lam, smart as she is, knows what we want. But I think at the moment there are some problems with the structure. And so the structure needs to be changed. All right. If there is no objection from members, I will be writing to the Home Affairs Bureau and the WKCDA board. I will, in the letter, state that the consultation panel cannot really play its roles effectively. There are only annual meetings or at the most 2 meetings a year. And the agenda is fixed by the authority. And the consultation panel just discusses what the authority wants it to discuss. And even if it raises some concerns at one meeting, the follow-up discussion will only take place next year. And we are of the view that concerning the membership of the consultation panel, apart from talents, celebrities in society, there should also be representatives from the cultural sector. We want the Home Affairs Bureau to play a greater role. And it seems that the Home Affairs Bureau has been bypassed. And perhaps there should be someone from the Home Affairs Bureau sitting on the consultation panel. Now, we are not seeking to change the nature of this consultation panel. This panel will still be doing consultation work, but I don't think the consultation panel should exist for window dressing purpose. And the agenda should not be fixed by the authority. So we will summarize members' suggestions and views in that letter to the authority and to the Home Affairs Bureau. All right, so let's move on then. No further questions, so we'll write the letter and then we'll send the letter to them, and there will be CC copies sent to all members of the subcommittee.
We now move on to the second item on the agenda. That's about the development of cultural software. Today, we are very glad to have concerned groups and individuals attending our meeting today. They will give us their views. For today, we have got 11 deputations or individuals attending the meeting. They have either given us our written submissions or they will make oral presentations. First of all, I would like to give the floor to the WKCDA. There will be a PowerPoint presentation.
Just a couple of points by way of introduction. Thank you to the deputations for being here. I guess I'd just like to make one point that last year at this similar session we had some 40+ cultural groups represented in this discussion. I do feel that there's been some considerable progress with the sector over the last year, in that we've taken on board a number of the issues raised by individual deputations last year and by the broad concerns of the members of the LegCo subcommittee, and have had continuous engagement with members of the sector, and that may reflect why today we have less representation from the cultural sector. A couple of extra points that I just think by way of introduction to my two colleagues, Mr. Lewis Yu, the Executive Director of Performing Arts, and Dorian Chong, in his first appearance before the LegCo subcommittee, the Chief Curator for M+, who'll go through the presentation. We'd always believed that the cultural district will not only be defined by the buildings, but most importantly by the content that is produced and the audience and visitors it attracts. Therefore, we feel very strongly, in parallel with the planning and the building of the venues, that our team needs to be working very hard to make sure that the cultural sector, the general public and our own team are getting ready for the upcoming venues as well as for the district as a whole. Our strategy of cultural software development is focused on preparing for the opening of the first batch of venues, in particular Zishu, M+, Free Space, all of the activities that will take place in the park, and the Lyric Theatre. For example, to prepare for the opening of our first venue and the main entrance to the West Kowloon Cultural District, the Zishu Centre, we have built our audience base and attracted new audiences through staging the West Kowloon annual Bamboo Theatre project. We've groomed young artists with the Rising Stars in Cantonese Opera Showcase. We foster exchanges by a series of seminars featuring Zishu masters from China and from the local companies. And as we reported to the Joint Subcommittee earlier in March, we have defined the artistic positioning and governance structures in consultation with the relevant stakeholders. All of these processes are running in parallel with the design and construction of the Zishu Centre. And together, these ensure that the Zishu Centre, when it opens, can live up to its vision of becoming the best venue for Zishu in the region, with a core mission to preserve and develop the art of Zishu. Over the past 12 months, we've staged 4 major exhibitions, presented 2 major festivals, and organised over 10 talks, forums, seminars, reaching out well in excess of 200,000 people. I'll now ask Lewis to commence and to be followed by Dorian in going through a little bit more detail on the development of our cultural software. Lewis.
多謝主席。
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, today we will talk about the various work done by the WKCDA on the development of cultural software. We'll talk about capacity building. We will talk about audience development and how we are engaging the public and the stakeholder. I'll mainly be talking about the performing arts, and then Mr. Chong, Chief Curator, will talk about M+. Before I actually go into the work done for performing arts, let me talk about the facilities included in Batch 1 and Batch 2. Here you can see that from the right-hand side, you see the CG Center. So it will be mainly dedicated to CG, and we have got 2 facilities, 200 seats, a tea house and a theatre, 1,100 seats, and then in the middle of the center for contemporary performance and medium theatre, mainly for theatres. For the seating capacities, 150, 250, 400, 600 respectively. And then further on with the lyric theatre, mainly for dancers, with a seating capacity of 1,200. Lastly, the park. You have a black box theatre called Free Space, and next to it we'll have an outdoor stage. It can accommodate 450 in the theatre itself, and outside we can have 10,000 people watching the musical events. So we are developing such facilities within Batch 1 and Batch 2. They are the venues under those 2 batches. We all understand that when we talk about cultural software, it doesn't mean that we'll be holding different activities. It means the mode of operation in the facilities as well as the direction of artistic development. Last time I came here to brief you, I already said that at different venues, we had different artistic directions. We had different partners like resident partners and also partnership programs. I also talked about the different venues and the modes of governance, say the mode of governance for CG Center, the system of directors, the system of management. I already touched upon that last time. So here I would mainly focus on the development of software for different venues. For the West Kowloon Bamboo Theatre, there's already we have had it 3 times in 3 years. So mainly speaking, we hope that we can build audienship so that more people will understand and know the West Kowloon Cultural District. This is traditional, but we have undergone a change. At the beginning, it's mainly Cantonese opera. Recently, for the Bamboo Theatre, for the first time, we gave an introduction to Kunju Shanghailese opera and Peking opera. So we're trying to build the audience, and this is a flagship item, and we are also interacting with mainland theatre groups, opera groups. It is a very popular one, and with the construction work of the park commencing next year, so probably we have to identify another venue for the Bamboo Theatre, but we're still working very hard to identify a suitable venue. We hope we can continue with this flagship event. Next one, Free Space Fest. started in 2012. We repeated it in 2013. We're working hard to do the one for 2014. The purpose isn't just about audience building. We also want to carry out an experiment to talk about the park. That is, the park will be cultural themed and artistically themed. We want to see how the park can be used, street dance to be presented, and how we're going to make use of the space there, the lawn there. So for the past 2 years, we have gathered some experience and would like to talk to the designer for the park. From the first, we are able to come across the challenges faced and opportunities offered. So it will be good to give us input concerning the experience of operation, etc. So while we are developing the software, we are also assisting with the development of the hardware. And this is how we have seen the case for cultural development. Other than the 2 flagship events, we have also been working on smaller and medium scale events. You see 2 shown here, Free Space Micro as well as Free Space Micro Decade. So we've been liaising with the smaller scale, medium scale groups. We try to break through. We don't just talk about the traditional ones. We have the street dancers and we have got the image producers. We try to see what can be done on the WKCD. So both of them were presented during the Free Space Fest last year. Free Space Fest was well received, and then there were questions as to why we only had it once a year. We believe that in the future for our park, probably there will be many weekly or monthly smaller scale or medium scale festivals. And on the basis of the success of the Free Space Fest 2013, we have put together a smaller scale one that is Take a Leap in 2014. And we want to have some smaller projects, and we'll try to experiment with this idea to see whether in the future in the park we can have weekly or monthly events, so that the park will be very different from the other parks in Hong Kong. So this is being conducted on the basis of an experiment. Now, capacity building. The Bamboo Theatre was a large-scale one, and then starting from last year, we had something new, and it's called Rising Stars in Cantonese Opera Showcase. It's a competition so that the younger Cantonese opera players can have a competition so that they can gain the recognition of the sector. So we've been using the Bamboo Theatre to nurture the new stars, the rising stars. It is very successful, and we hope that in the West Kowloon Bamboo Theatre next year, they will mainly be hosted by the rising stars. And we believe that in the 3 years before the commencement of CG Center, you'll see that we are already trying hard to groom the new stars. In addition, we have invited mainland as well as local experts and artists in CG to give us dialogues, and we have had it for a number of years, and we are now working on the seminar series in the coming season. This will help us with audience building, and it also means that the new artists can get the benefit of learning from the masters. So we have got training sessions both on the stage as well as in the rehearsal centers. Now, another one, this is called the New Works Forum. We have had it twice. So with the playwrights, choreographers, they have the chance to meet with overseas experts. It runs for a few years, and so that the new artists will know about the way forward. Next, the arts administration. We have had a number of joint projects, And what we're doing is that we have invited overseas experts and consultants or advisors to give workshops to us. Every time we can provide for 40 or 60 seats for the arts administrators. We hope that in this way we can nurture more arts administrators. And then we have got the internship programs so that the graduates, fresh graduates, as well as the young arts administrators can benefit from such a program. There is also the Advanced Cultural Leadership Program jointly held together with the Hong Kong U. And together with the Arts Development Council, we have got the Overseas Training and Research Program for leaders from local and local arts groups on future arts development in Hong Kong. So they go overseas to have study tours for us. So software and hardware go hand in hand. The artistic sector is kept informed of what we are doing. Once every 3 or 4 months, we will invite the artistic sector to come to WKCDA's office so that we will give them an update and we'll give them the latest information, say, for example, the various work fronts that we have. And just 2 weeks ago, 40 groups with 80 participants visited our office. We had a talk for 2 hours, and we reported on their progress, and we benefit from their comments and feedback.
So we hope that on the average, once every 3 to 4 months, we can meet the cultural sector, especially the performing arts sector. So I look forward to hearing the views of the deputations. And now I'll hand over to Dorian. Yes, please continue.
Thank you, members of the subcommittee as well as members of the public. Thank you, Louis. I'm pleased and honored to report to you some of the highlights of our public programs as well as internal software building from the last year. One of the highlights certainly belongs to this exhibition, a solo presentation of the Hong Kong artist Lee Kit at the Venice Biennale Hong Kong Pavilion, which opened in June last year and lasted into November. There was a huge press coverage, critical acclaims, as well as close to 60,000 visitors to this arguably one of the most important international venues for any country, but certainly for Hong Kong. And this was a big boost, certainly, for M+ and West Kowloon, as well as the whole Hong Kong arts community, and also, of course, the artists. And this is the kind of a function that Venice Biennale Hong Kong Pavilion can play, give an opportunity to especially artists who are on the verge of international success, and that certainly happened with Lee Kit. I think it is also important to add that there were 4 public programs in the run-up to the exhibition that took place in Hong Kong, and that drew about 480 participants in that program. So the local community here was certainly informed of and participated in many discussions that happened beforehand. But in addition to the public programs, the exhibition indeed returned to Hong Kong in a further evolved and expanded form, if you will, that took place at Cattle Depot this month in March into April, as you can see in the dates there, for about 5 weeks. It drew over 4,000 visitors, and as you know, Cattle Depot is not in the most convenient location, so we were very impressed with this more than expected high visitor number. It certainly drew further people with very active public programs that included tours and conversations with the artists, as well as film programs and guided tours by our docents, and also what was called misguided tours by the fellow artists of LegCo, who gave a very subjective and personal and often humorous interpretations of the artist's work and the exhibition. It is very important for us to present to the Hong Kong public that organizing exhibitions can take different forms. So LegCo was certainly a one-person exhibition of an artist who's actively evolving, if you will. This was a different form of exhibition titled Building M+, the Museum and Architecture Collection. About 1/3 of the exhibition highlighted the winning design for the future M+ building by the Swiss architects Herzog and de Meuron. But it was the first time that the 5 other shortlisted international architects' work was also presented, so that the visitors to the exhibition could learn about the different proposals and the merits of certainly the winning design. In addition to that, the other 2/3 of the exhibition highlighted for the first time over 100 works that are related to architecture and design that have been building up very fast as part of the M+ collection. So again, this was the first instance, a museum quality presentation of the fast-growing and evolving M+ collection, specifically focusing on architecture. And one outcome of this is that the public's perception changed from M+ just being an art museum with a collection of contemporary art to a museum with a collection that is much more multidisciplinary, including design and architecture. And I should also add that there were the exhibition ran just about a month, and there were over 20,000 visitors to Artistry in Taikoo, where the exhibition was held. Speaking about there are being many exhibition types that are available. There's a solo exhibition, there's a group exhibition, such as the Building M+ exhibition, which was more collection-based exhibition. There can be also exhibition that is immaterial, and that is certainly the exhibition that is going on right now. So this is the banner image for the website-based digital exhibition that is currently happening through the end of the month, in fact, titled neonscience.hk. There was quite a lot of press coverage of this in the recent months. So this is M+'s effort to preserve and document for the future a very important element of visual culture of Hong Kong, which is neon signs. And in addition to many very well thought out and planned programs, such as videos and artist commissions and audio tours that the public can download and use, there is a very important element of crowdsourcing, which is that anybody who has a mobile phone or digital camera can take photos of the neon signs and can upload themselves or send to us to be uploaded. So the site so far has reached more than 100,000 visitors, and then there are close to 2,000 images of neon signs that have been uploaded. At the end of the run of the website on June 30th, we will no longer be operating the website, but we will freeze and preserve it so that it will remain as a resource that anybody can turn to in the coming months and years. We did a short presentation as part of the Art Basel Hong Kong Fair, which took place just a couple of weeks ago. Here is a computer rendering of the booth that we presented. Art Basel very kindly provided us with a free booth. And it's not just M+, it is the other important cultural organizations in Hong Kong. So we were given an opportunity to present a model of the architecture design, as well as some scaled down mock-ups of about 200 works that are now part of the M+ collection, which currently numbers at about 3,000. So this was an opportunity for the international art community who perhaps comes to Hong Kong for the once a year, and this will be the opportunity. So this was a very useful self-presentation for us to make for this international contemporary art community, as well as a huge number of curious Hong Kong public who do come through. So it was really interesting for me to also observe, being there the whole time, to see how the demographics change in the course of the 5 days. By the third or fourth day, there were many public members who streamed in asking various questions, including students in uniform. So we certainly serve that purpose of providing the most up-to-date information about how M+ is developing. But the exhibitions and presentations are not the only way of capacity building. If there is a mobile M+ exhibition series, there is also very actively ongoing M+ Matters series of public symposiums. You're looking at an image from the last one, which was held at the Asia Society. And there have been 4 of them since December 2012. Each one is organized around a topic that is very cogent to M+ as a museum that is building, as well as the growingly interested arts community. So the topics could range from Asian design to ink art to the relationship between artwork and documentation. This series will continue to go on. The next one will in fact be in June, and there are 4 more M+ Matters that are planned for the rest of the calendar year. And it's also important for me to emphasize that this is always a 2-part exercise. 1 or 2 days are spent internally with the invited guests internationally, critics, curators, and sometimes artists, designers, and architects who come into our office and workshop very intensely with the M+ staff, especially the curatorial staff, but there is always this public element where what we discuss internally is shared and presented to the public members. Now, speaking of internal workshops, so there is an intense amount of expertise building that is going on. Currently, M+ staff stands at about 30 people. About 2/3 of them are under the curatorial department, which I myself head. We have just added, for instance, 4 junior members of curatorial assistants and assistant curators. All of them are from Hong Kong. But in addition to the full-time staff members at M+, we also reach out to further educate and train the future participants and leaders in the Hong Kong arts community. So there is an internship program that we launched, and that started last fall. There are 2 intakes per year. So far we have done fall 2013 and spring 2014. 3 people who are chosen per term work paid and embedded in the M+ staff so that they can see the operation of the museum from inside and gain very valuable experience. And in fact, many of these people have already applied for some of the open job postings at M+, so they clearly had a very positive experience and want to continue to contribute to our work. And each of the applications had about over 200 applications for 3 positions. So clearly this is something that is very needed and has proven to be very competitive and high quality. In addition to that, we have an ongoing M+ docent volunteer program. These are members of the public who have to be trained in terms of general history of art history, visual culture history, but specifically about exhibition programs that we put up, such as Building M+ exhibition and LegCo solo exhibition. There are about 50 public members who have been with us for now over a year. So it is a great amount of a commitment for these people who have a full-time working job outside. During the last year's Venice Biennale exhibition for almost 5 months run, we had several rounds of interns who were sent over to Venice to spend 7 weeks each. So total, there were 11 interns who had this amazing opportunity of being in Venice and experience this most important contemporary art exhibition while also having the responsibility of running the exhibition. So that was also very important capacity building for a future, well, I should say present and future workers in the cultural field here. But in addition to that, there is an open public forum that M+ has been doing since 2012. And in the last year, the last one, in fact, was in November, and that was held at the Hong Kong Science Museum. And about 100 people also participated to learn about the current state of development of M+, not just building, but also staff, the programs, and whatnot. So this is something that we're going to continue to do periodically. And in the second half of this year, there will be another public forum as well. Thank you.
好，有冇補充？
Right? Anything else? Also, now I'll invite the deputations to speak. Each deputation will only have 3 minutes. And if you can't finish what you say within 3 minutes, you can supplement with a written submission. And you can wear the EPs if you want to. Channel 2 English, Channel 1 Cantonese, Channel 3 Putonghua, Channel 0 the floor channel. And may I remind you that what you say at this meeting will not be covered by the LegCo Powers and Privileges Ordinance. And neither will your written submissions be covered by the LegCo Powers and Privileges Ordinance. And please note the points to note for attending meetings in the public gallery and in the conference rooms. And I understand that the guidance notes have already been given to you. All right. So if you don't have a copy, you can ask our staff for a copy. All right. Each deputation will have 3 minutes. First, we have Mr. Cheng Shunhua from the Lion Rock Institute. Yes, thank you, Chairman. Today we are discussing the development of software in Hong Kong. In fact, the Lion Rock Institute is of the view that we shouldn't have the WKCD at all. I mean, the public are worried. We don't know how much money we will have to spend ultimately. We don't know when the project will be completed. Now, the public are worried not only because the CS4A is saying that there are problems. What is most problematic is that the CS4A is saying that never mind, we can progress slowly because the site will not be sold. Now, this site, this WKCD site, if it can develop like how we developed the site above Kowloon Station, then the revenue will be $200 billion. And we are not just concerned about the $200 billion. Now, but let's ask ourselves, how many Queen Mary hospitals, $200 billion can build? How many social problems can we resolve with $200 billion?
Now we've spent dozens of billions of dollars to build the hardware facilities of WKCD. But for the many years that have left, how much money has been spent to develop software to help the artistic circle? Now, 30,000 young people of Hong Kong could have gone to the Royal College of Music in the UK, or a few hundred award-winning films could have been produced. So we have to find out, for the same sum of money, how much could have, what else could have been done. Mr. Ricky Wong, Did he feel that he had any assistance from you? And what about the cultural sector? Does anybody feel that we have been given help? Now, if it is felt that we can't even accommodate one more TV station, then what about the 40-hectare WKCD? What are we going to do with it? How come that it can't and it shouldn't be regarded as a white elephant? We may say no. For the lawmakers, they may be airing a lot of criticisms verbally, but they would vote for the further allocation of money. So in order not to have a white elephant, I think the land should be auctioned, and then the $200 billion could have been better spent. Democratic Party, I have already given you a written submission. I don't want to repeat what is already written there. I just want to talk about the PowerPoint presentation. I just want to give you my observation. Now, for WKCDA, there is project slippage, and as a result, many facilities are going to become very fragmented. The project will be delivered by batches. If it is to be delivered in such a piecemeal manner, how can you create the ambience that is needed? And then we have been told about the emphasis to be put on governance, and it appears that it is a top-down mode of governance. But is it really the right way for cultural development? The hardware should tie in with software instead of dictating how development of art should take place. I think we need nurturing. We need to give autonomy to the cultural sector. How much free space will be given to the art groups, in particular individuals as well as the smaller and medium-scale art groups? I have a big question mark here. The Democratic Party has got something fundamental to make. I don't think the government should create so many restrictions. I don't think you should go for expediency. I think you need to attach a human face, and you should be democratic. It should be bottom up. The users, the clients, should be allowed a say, and the spirit of democracy should also find its way in the management of the venues. Thank you. Next, Ms. Pamela Choi from Zuni. Well, Zuni would like to say the following. First of all, ratio between the allocation of resources for hardware and software. Last time, the CS4A emphasized the need for the integrated basement, but then we are concerned about the long-term development. Is it really worth the money? $23 billion for a basement. All along, we have been spending $3.3 billion per year on arts. In other words, we're spending 7 years expenditure on just one basement, and almost 80% is spent on LCSD facilities, just less than 10% for the Academy of Performing Arts, and then 10% for the 9 major groups, and then the ADC has only got 3%. Usually, there is only about $600,000 for the subsidies to be given. Now, the government can lightly dispense a few dozens of billions on this project, and yet for the meager sum of money to be given to art groups, the government is really very mean. So we are really concerned about the content of the software development. In recent years, the WKCDA had a lot of successful events like Free Space and Empress, etc. But then we should be more concerned about the fundamentals. And so there are 5 points. First of all, the right policies. We should give emphasis to local culture, local arts. Second, we should be bold-hearted. We should allow breakthroughs. And then for capacity building, we should give them the prospect, we should give them reasonable pay, and there should be arts education, and then there should be networking with the rest of the world. Our recommendations are as follows. First of all, the public should be told about the blueprints for cultural software development. We have got the city in the park, but then that's for the overall development. What about software? it is still a blank. I think this joint committee should set a timetable and urge the government to come up with a overall plan. And then there should be timeline, there should be ratios, and then we should be told about the resources and time to be spent on research, creation, education, exchanges, etc. And then we should examine all the laws related to artistic creation, like the Copyright Ordinance, the Control of Obscene and Indecent Articles Ordinance, so that we can safeguard the rights, and there can be freedom of speech, and there will be diversity. And thirdly, while we develop the software, we should be closely liaising with the different stakeholders so that we make sure that the WKCD can promote the development of local culture. Thank you. Next, Mr. Elvin Young from Civic Party. Now, we've been given a nicely put together PowerPoint presentation, but I'm not sure whether the ladies and gentlemen present here would like to comment on the CS4A's recent statement saying that we must have the right artistic standards before we should get the venues. Well, for the hardware, it will be expensive and there will be delays. Yes, of course, we are concerned. But here today, we're talking about software. It's for the longer term, and it should be more comprehensive. So what is the role of this WKCDA in terms of software? And what about the division of labor among the WKCDA, the government, and the Hong Kong ADC? Now, the government is the one to allocate resources. But what about the government's stance? What about the long-term development? I think we should be more tolerant, more open-minded. And for the minority interests, I think we should never forget about them. We mustn't just set our eyes on the mainstream. We shouldn't just give emphasis to the more popular disciplines. I think we need to take care of the minority interests. But has the government really done this? This is of great concern to us. Now, supporting the local arts groups, there is one point I want to bring out. Not too long ago, I think you still have it fresh in your memory. There were the scandal about the Hong Kong Ballet, and then there were the controversies about the suspicion that they were exercising self-censorship. For the long term, I think the WKCDA has the role to play as a gatekeeper. You need to help the artistic groups performing on your venues to uphold artistic freedom, and they should be given their autonomy, their freedom. And then we will have cultural development in its true sense. And then there's one other point, and this is street performance. Street arts, you may very well dismiss them for poor standards. But I don't think this is right. In fact, a lot of arts, artistic work develop from the streets, and we should give emphasis to the local characteristics. I know I've got a time limit to abide by, so I won't continue, and later on we'll give you our submissions. Mr. Tim Lee from Tourism and Culture Development Association, Hong Kong. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got the following to say. Arts and culture represent the values of different groups and organizations. In the past, the government hasn't done enough in promoting arts and culture, so we have to make use of this opportunity. We hope that there will be greater participation from the community groups so that their voice can be heard. And then we can get their views on how we can develop the WKCD area into a special place. Now, Hong Kong is a cosmopolitan. We have got people from different ethnic origins. They also practice their own cultures, but they're also part of our society. We have got Koreans, Japanese, Filipinos, Indonesians. So we hope that in the WKCD area, we can reflect our status as a cosmopolitan. We should also allow them space to practice their own culture. For example, we can host cultural festivals originated from Japan, South Korea, etc. I think we can showcase the Snow Festival of Japan, the New Year of India, and the unique festivals of Thailand. In this way, we can showcase that we can have social harmony among the different races. All along, we lack performing venues. The rentals are beyond the reach of ordinary performing groups. For smaller groups, if you want to help them to grow, to develop, and just now there was already this comment to say that the government's subvention is indeed very small in amount and it is difficult to apply for the subsidies. I believe that for every place, we want to have a lot of local culture. And then we hope that those who first perform in the streets will eventually one day find their way to the major venues. I think even for Cantonese opera, I think you know that you see them at the street level as well. There is a lot of street performance as well. Mr. Lee, singing, dancing, and other artistic exhibits should also be given a place on the WKCD. Mr. Wong.
Yes, I've got these points to make on behalf of the Labour Party. First of all, concerning major performance venues, because of the delay in the works, we don't know when they will be completed. Now, some are of the view that WKCD's development should proceed on a piecemeal basis. But I think we keep talking about integration, continuity, and I am worried that the development of the cultural district may become fragmented. And also because of the delay, then we'll have this vacant site just lying there. And then as there's this very big vacant site, and you know the view will be excellent, and as a result there will be luxury flats. These luxury flats will be able to be sold at very high prices because of the excellent view, and also I think district councils should play a more important role. And district councils can provide funding for organizations. And I think district councils should play a more important role in promoting arts development at a district level. And young people should be encouraged to take part in arts. But then our district council system is now very bad, and the district council funds or district councils have become ATMs for some pro-establishment groups. Industrial buildings need to be revitalized. That is correct. But at the same time, rentals are rising, and as a result, artists have to move out of industrial buildings. And I don't think the West Kowloon Cultural District can really help the those in the arts circle, because we don't know when this project will be completed. Mr. Chen Chit Kwai, I am the chairman of the Culture and Recreation Committee of the Central and Western District Council, and I'm also speaking in my personal capacity. Many people called Hong Kong a cultural desert, but now we can see that work is being done to promote the development of cultural software. And I think this is important if Hong Kong is to become a truly modern city. But then we can't solely rely on the government or one or two arts groups to develop cultural software. We have to reach out to the people. Culture doesn't belong to the minority. We want everybody to be involved. In fact, the Central and Western District Council has been promoting arts and culture for the past 12 years. We have been mobilizing the public. We have been engaging the public and nurturing their interest in arts and culture. Now, different places have their different cultural features and characteristics. Now, say for Central and Western, we have tried to promote Chu Chao opera and also different local operas of Chinese, different local Chinese operas, and we also have a harmonica band. We try to promote the cultural and arts characteristics of Central and Western, and we also have the Fire Dragon dance. We also have the Changshan workshops and so on and so forth. And we work with the Hong Kong Dance Company, the Chinese Music Orchestra, and our programs are very popular among members of the public. We are in fact a bit concerned that some professional groups may leave the Central and Western District and move to the West Kowloon Cultural District. Time's up. I just want finally to say that the Hong Kong government must attach greater importance to local cultural features and characteristics. I'm Ms. Leung Wai Si. I'm Leung Wai Si, and I want to say that I am concerned about the development of cultural software. Now, for the funding for the WKCD, I don't think there is money for cultural software. I think we're talking about strategies, our vision, and also arts management and so on and so forth. For WKCD, I think we need to be clear as to the role of WKCD in Hong Kong's cultural development, and will WKCD be duplicating the work of the LCSD, for example, hiring of venues and so on and so forth? Or is it that we're going to have the Hong Kong Design Center, a base for international exchange? So will WKCD try to promote arts and cultural development in Hong Kong? Will that be the vision of WKCD? Now, I understand that there will be hardware in the West WKCD, like the Sichu Center. We have had free space. We have had the Bamboo Theater. It's true that venues have been made available for the various activities. But then it seems that only venues are provided. What about the long-term vision? What about the positioning? And apart from M+ and the C2 Center, the public do not know really the cultural vision and the cultural policies for WKCD. In November last year, one of the 9 major performing groups staged a performance on the Dreams of the Red Chamber. And it was alleged that some directors tried to interfere in artistic performance and freedom. So people are worried that as there is a lack of a coherent arts policy in Hong Kong, such a problem has arisen. So, and I want to know whether the WKCD can really act as a researcher for cultural software. Tony To. I'm Tony To from the DAB chairman. We want to nurture young people so that they can know how to appreciate art, especially Cantonese opera. You know, we have fewer and fewer young people interested in Cantonese opera performances. So we should try to nurture their interest in Cantonese opera. Hardware is also important, but software is the essence. Now, yes, we need world-class exhibits and performances at the WKCD, but at the same time, we must nurture our local talents. And then, one deputation said that the WKCD site should be auctioned. I was surprised. It said that we no longer need parks, we no longer need a cultural district. Now, $21.6 billion has been set aside for the development of WKCD, but then there is news that there will be overspending. The authority must make the best use of this amount of money to develop and promote our local culture. Ms. Chen Wai-ming from the Hong Kong Arts Administrators Association. Yes, thank you, Chairman. The WKCD is the cultural project which has attracted the largest amount of investment. Now, even if you have all the hardware, you can't really succeed without the software. And the software includes the administrators, the spectators, and so on and so forth. Without the software, you won't be able to really be self-financing and self-sufficient. And I want to say that with the software, then there will be visitors, there will be revenue, and the whole community will benefit. Last week, our association organized the Forum of Arts Administrators, and there were cultural leaders from London, from Shanghai. They said that venues must be constructed. There should be events and festivals. But more importantly, there must be the necessary software. identity and engagement are essential. We are the only professional body in Hong Kong on arts administration, and we have these suggestions. First, WKCD is an unprecedented cultural project in Hong Kong, and so an innovative mindset is required. We can make reference from overseas experience, but then as changes are rapid nowadays, WKCD should find its own suitable mode of management. And then, as I have said, identity and engagement are important, and so you must be able to engage the local arts sector. We need to nurture young talents in order that there will be sustainable development in WKCD, and there should be more adequate support for the arts groups and the performing groups. And in Hong Kong, we do not have enough exhibition venues and convention venues. As a result, rentals are very high, and also performing groups, arts groups, and artists are having difficulties hiring venues. We hope that the WKCD venues can be constructed as soon as possible and be completed on schedule. And then in the interim, we are still going to have a shortage of venues, but then there will be more spectators. And so for phase 1 of the venues, please give me some more time. And in terms of planning, the authority must take into account sustainable development. And then I hope that the government can give more resources to small and medium-sized groups so as to enhance the ecology in Hong Kong, cultural ecology. Next, Mr. Jones.
Hong Kong was established in 2003 as Hong Kong's first professional Western opera company, and we are now recognised as one of the leading opera companies in Hong Kong. Over the last 11 years, we have brought high-quality opera productions to a very wide Hong Kong audience, promoted the development of opera through a very extensive education and outreach programme, and nurtured local talent through providing local singers with performance opportunities in our productions. Opera is an integral and very important part of the cultural life of many major international cities, in particular London, New York. Opera Hong Kong believes that the West Kowloon Cultural District provides Hong Kong with a golden opportunity to build the performing arts infrastructure which it currently lacks, and is concerned that the latest plans do not appear to meet this expectation. According to these plans, the focus of the Lyric Theatre in Phase 2 of the West Kowloon Cultural District will be to promote dance, although it will showcase other art forms including musicals, opera, theatre and events. By contrast, the traditional Lyric Theatre, as it has evolved in other parts of the world, such as the mainland, Europe and North America, is a genuine multi-purpose cultural venue designed for major ballet, operatic and theatrical performances. This will not be achieved. The Lyric Theatre is to be designed primarily for dance performances. Furthermore, the seating capacity of only 1,200 is significantly smaller than the existing Grand Theatre in the Hong Kong Cultural Centre, currently used for staging operas and ballets, which has a seating capacity of 1,734. Our concern with the size and scope of the Lyric Theatre is underlined by the very uncertain status of the Great Theatre, which is primarily intended for staging large-scale stage performances such as opera and ballet. At the moment, this is in Phase 3 of the West Kowloon District's programme, which is post-2020. Furthermore, the size of this venue, which was originally 2,200 seats, has been very significantly reduced to 1,600, which is less than the existing Grand Theatre. As one of the principal reasons for building the West Kowloon Cultural District was to provide Hong Kong with cultural venues of a size and sophistication which we currently lack, the fact that both two major theatres in the West Kowloon District will be smaller than existing cultural facilities is both very surprising and most disappointing. Given the uncertainty regarding the Great Theatre, the Lyric Theatre will be the only venue in the West Kowloon Cultural District capable of staging opera in the immediate future. We would therefore urge the West Kowloon Cultural District Authority to review the size and scope of this facility to ensure that it is a genuine, multi-purpose cultural venue capable of staging high-quality performances of operas, musicals and dramas, as well as ballet and dance. The existence of a genuine, multi-purpose cultural venue with a significantly increased seating capacity capable of staging performing arts such as opera with an international appeal will also be an important element in enhancing Hong Kong's attraction as a tourism destination. The iconic Sydney Opera House House illustrates the critical importance and value of a key performing arts venue in promoting a city to the world. Hong Kong deserves no less. Thank you.
Thank you. 咁我想即係因為我哋嘅人數都唔係太多啦，想
Well, I would like to ask the administration as well as the WKCDA to give a response to what has been said by the deputations. Yes, HAB. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm grateful to the deputations and individuals who have spoken. For cultural development, be it hardware or software, we believe that we mustn't emphasize one at the expense of the other. For the WKCD, yes, we are determined and we are committed. We would like to take it forward. At the same time, in the past few years, we have been putting in a lot of efforts to develop the cultural software. In terms of the performing art groups, yes, we do subvent the major groups. Say, for example, in the current financial year, we have increased the sum by $13 million. For the smaller groups, we are also giving emphasis to the smaller groups. The ADC has been given $30 million more, so that the total sum that can be dispensed is up to $150 million. For the new money, we have already said that all of it should be given to the art groups to support their development. In the past year or two, we have also got the program to help the arts groups, in particular those that have a lot of potential, which have got high quality, so that arts groups may be given support to launch longer-term programs. So as a result, a few dozens of such groups have been given help, or such programs have been given help. And then I want to highlight a few points here. We have got the cultural days in schools. LCSD venues will receive the secondary school students. There are tailor-made activities for the students. The LCSD has also got the training program for schools. In partnership with the arts groups will visit the schools so that the students will be given help in the form of guided tours and also workshops running for a few months. They are assisted in giving performances, performing in front of the community members. We have also got another another program which allow the senior secondary students to have a taste of cultural activities, their workshops, demonstration sessions, etc. And there is also a program to help senior secondary students to learn about arts criticism. And the ADC has also got a very good program. It's an Arts Ambassadors in School scheme. 1,200 students take part every year. So we have got visual arts, performing arts, among others, which are sort of presented to the students. The government directly provides programs. We also launch other programs through the ADC, the 9 major performing groups, as well as the Hong Kong APA. So altogether, capacity building and arts in education programs go up to 44,000 a year. And then for capacity building, our yearly subvention to APA is reaching $300 million. And for the Hong Kong ADC, we've given funding to the ADC so that the ADC can cover different disciplines: music, dance, visual arts, and drama. We have got a lot of training programs. And then for arts administration, we have also put aside $150 million for that purpose. We'll continue to work closely with the stakeholders so that we can take forward the cultural software development. WKCDA.
Mr. Chairman, I thank the deputations. I think I might stay out of the political parties' feedback. I think that probably is better reflected through the members of the subcommittee. the Lion Rock Institute's comments somewhat surprised me. I thought you must have been advising the new right-wing government in Australia in the selling off of most of the cultural and other assets there. We would take great exception to your advice to abolish the WKCD. We see the WKCD as a major piece of the future infrastructure of Hong Kong. It will contribute, we think, in many fundamental ways over the next 50 plus years. So I would put on the record that we would oppose you in every way we possibly could in trying to reach forward. In regard to the arts companies' issues, we're clearly well acquainted with Zuni and Danny Yung. Danny Yung is a board member of the West Kowloon Cultural District, and we take on board the concerns of Zuni on many levels. We don't necessarily always agree with the issues, but we attempt to engage, as we do with the Hong Kong Opera. The issue is we have not reduced the great theatre or the musical theatre. The dimensions of those venues are still very much up for future discussion as part of Batch 3. I think the issue in regard to the lyric is that the relationship of the size of a theatre is related to the site on which it's on, and we don't believe, having gone through extensive consultation, we're very happy to try and engage further with you in terms of size, scope. We believe that the venue will be suitable. It will complement the other venues in Hong Kong, and I think it's really important in terms of the relationship that WKCD plays relative to the role that LCSD and ADC play. It needs to be recognised that WKCD has a major challenge on the hardware side, but that we are also trying to affect the development of the software side in Hong Kong. But it must be recognised that WKCD has 185 people working for it. I think LCSD has 30,000 people working for them, and clearly on that basis the LCSD is still a major player across the whole of Hong Kong in terms of the provision of cultural venues, the operation of sporting and all of the other activities that they cover, and that clearly we would hope to be working with LCSD to make sure that Hong Kong finishes off better off after the investment in WKCD. A couple of the other issues, clearly the tourist side of what we're doing is one component, although our project is primarily focused on the development of cultural and public space facilities for the people of Hong Kong. We cannot not recognise the proximity to the XRL railway project, and that clearly the tourist focus going forward will be both an issue to be managed, but also a substantial opportunity for making sure that the cultural organisations in Hong Kong are in a good position to exploit their strengths and to be able to make it happen. As I suppose the only other issue I would want to reflect back to the feedback, particularly from the political players, is that we now have 4 venues, both almost at construction stage. The Zishu is already under construction. The venues in the park, the art pavilion and the free space will commence very soon. And what we're trying to do is to realise as quickly as possible those venues so that we can get that right balance between the people side, or as we refer to, the software side, as well as the venues themselves. And as you will see from, I think, the first slide that Lewis Yu showed you, that over the course of the next 5 years we hope to deliver a substantial proportion of the project to both win over the confidence of the the LegCo subcommittee, the LegCo, but probably most importantly that we have realised a significant part of the dream, and that the ongoing development of the other parts of the project will follow at an appropriate time, based on both the needs of the community and the evolving, changing nature of what cultural venues are and the roles that they play. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
OK， 仲有冇其他人補充？係阿余國聯。
Anything else? Mr. Yu. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Every time when we have this session of public hearing, we always get many views. We've always been reminded of the importance of software and how hardware and software should complement each other. We will certainly bring the points back with us. I just want to say that for the performing venues of WKCD, all along, yes, in terms of the funding and timing, we have to live within a lot of restrictions. We have always given priority to arts, and therefore this year we are going to tell you about the various and unique artistic characteristics of different venues. The seating capacity of different venues follows the positioning of that particular venue, as well as the direction of its future development. For Batch 1 and Batch 2, we hope that we will be able to provide venues of different scales and sizes so as to suit the needs of different disciplines and different groups. But we'll certainly follow up on the views expressed today, and we hope that the next time we come, we'll be able to provide more information to you. Thank you. Anything else from the administration? No? Then I open the floor to members for questions and comments. Helena Wong, Emily Lau, and Deputy Chair. Ms. Lau first. 4 minutes each. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm grateful to the deputations for giving us your comments. I'm glad to see that for M+, we have Mr. Chong, the Chief Curator. We see him for the first time. I look forward to seeing him more often, and I would like to have him sharing his ideas with us concerning the museum. Now, Ms. Choi from Juni told us what they think, and we've also got a submission from Mr. Yong. Just now, Mr. Lynch has said that Mr. Yong is a member on the board. In the last paragraph of the first page, it is said that the WKCD hasn't got a blueprint for software. The board directors did not properly monitor and promote the idea, and hasn't urged the management to do this. That is, to do a good job about research, coordination, supervision, and realization of the plans.
Mr. Yong said that the cultural sector hopes that the WKCD can provide a cultural base that is different from the cultural base provided by the LCSD. And also WKCD should try to promote artistic diversity, freedom of artistic freedom. But then we don't have the LCSD here. All right, LCSD is not represented here today. Now, most of the funding for developing cultural software is with the LCSD. Now, we want you to tell the truth. We are not asking you to defame the LCSD, but then you should tell us the truth. Do you think the LCSD is really standing in the way, so to speak? Who would like to speak? Don't force people to speak, but if they really want to say something about the LCSD, let them do so. Let them tell us the truth. All right? Or the authority, the government. Now, the LCSD is not here, but then the LCSD has most of the resources for the development of cultural software. Mr. Yu, Do you understand the concerns of the cultural sector? Now, in fact, some have suggested that the LCSD be dissolved. So what should we do? I believe Mr. Yong has raised his concerns at the board meetings. So is the LCSD an obstacle? Is it that the LCSD is standing in the way? And Mr. Yong said that the WKCD didn't have a roadmap for cultural software.
In regard to conversations on board matters, but also we've had long engagement over my 3 years with Danny and Matthias Wu and with Zuni on many issues. We don't necessarily agree with necessarily all of the views of Zuni, and certainly I guess my view is that the issue of LCSD's role is not something that is determined by Zuni or by West Kowloon Cultural Authority. That's a discussion that would take place within the government.
OK。
秘書長想講啊，主席。
係啊，秘書長。
Yes, let the HAB supplement. Yes, Chairman. The LCSD keeps the LegCo updated on how it develops cultural software. And I think there are a lot of things that the LCSD has done which are commendable. But of course, the LCSD would welcome members' suggestions and comments. Yes, we do agree that the WKCD can adopt a different mode from that of the LCSD in operating and managing its facilities. In fact, we do communicate with the LCSD. We do try to coordinate our work with theirs, and there is an established mechanism for the LCSD to do its work. And of course, WKCD can adopt its own mode. I understand that the WKCD does communicate with arts groups, with performing companies concerning more innovative modes of operation. Chairman, Mr. Yong said that WKC didn't have a blueprint for cultural software. So how come there is no reply to this?
Is the blueprint? What is the timeline for implementing
what
it?
we've been trying to do, Ms. Lau, today is to outline across the range of activities.
Mr. Lynch, your time out.
Time out，你而家比賽，time's up 啊，主席。
It should be time's up, Chairman. It's not time out. It's not a competition, but I gave you 4 minutes and you went on for 5 to 6 minutes. What more do you want? Ms. Helena Wong. Chairman, sorry, I had to shuffle between 2 meetings. There is another meeting next door. At the last meeting, we discussed the issue of hardware. We understand that for the express rail link, there is delay, and then for the WKCD, for the hardware, there is delay, and there may be overspending. And it seems that the WKCD may be scaled down, and maybe in future we're going to have the West Kowloon Mini Cultural District. I don't know. I really don't know. Last time, the chairman of the WKCDA, Mrs. Carrie Lam, said that construction would proceed for phases 1 and 2. But then where is phase 3? And there are 3 important components under phase 3. There are 3 major venues. And Carrie Lam said that she had to look at the progress of the development of cultural software in deciding on the timing and the pace for phase 3. Now we have so many deputations here. Do you think that we are lagging behind concerning cultural software, and as a result there is no need to press ahead with batch 3? In other words, let's nurture talents, spectators, arts administrators, and then proceed with batch 3 or phase 3? And then can I ask the authority this question? Is it that phase 3 or batch 3 can be shelved pending the availability of cultural software? So I want to hear the views of the authority, the administration, and the deputations. So any views from the deputations? Any views? Ms. Wong's question? Please raise your hands. Mr. Chen? I want to respond to Emily's question. Can this be done? Yes, yes. I think she has made a very good point. Should CSD continue to exist? Now, I'm a district councillor. Concerning visits to schools, tours to schools, yes, I think the LCSD has played its role, but I want to say that the LCSD hasn't really communicated adequately with us. They mainly work on their own. But then, as you know, cultural software is very important. LCSD should talk to the district councils more on this. The LCSD does have annual plans, but they are rather short-term in nature. I think the LCSD should can work out long-term cultural software plans. And can I ask whether Mr. Lynch can also supplement? But let's ask the deputations whether they've got anything to say. Chairman, may I refer to point 4 in our submission? We're not really talking about WKCD and LCSD. We have a shortage of venues, both in the public and private sector. There is a lack of resources. Now, say, for example, as to how long a show can run, sometimes a show has to be run intermittently. And as you know, that will increase the cost. There can't be a continuous stretch of time. And also rentals keep rising. Venue rentals keep rising. And so we need the software, we need the venues. I think the two should go hand in hand. Mr. Jones.
I mean, as far as Opera Hong Kong is concerned, we would be very concerned if Phase 3 of the West Kowloon Cultural District didn't materialise, because it contains a number of the most important iconic facilities in the district, such as the Great Theatre, the Opera House, the Concert Hall, and Hong Kong desperately needs a major performing arts venue with a seating capacity of over 2,000 people, which will enable us to put on large-scale musicals, operas and ballets. Could I also just talk about this issue of cultural software, which is again of great concern to us? We've had discussions with Home Affairs Bureau in the past about the possibility of becoming a subvented body, joining the charmed circle of 9 subvented performing arts organisations. And it seems that Home Affairs Bureau has closed the door in any further performing arts groups entering this charmed circle of 9. Could they comment?
Okay. 仲有冇其他公眾人士提？
All right, any other deputations who would like to speak? No, Mr. Lynch, do you want to say something? 1 minute for you.
1 minute, okay. To go back to your question, clearly we know that we will be able to deliver batch 1 and batch 2. We have made clear for more than a year that batch 3 was going to be subject to funding constraints, the construction cost issue, and importantly in recent days the impact of the railway and the completion date of the railway. So no, I take the words of clarification from the Chairman seriously, that there was always going to be built in a review of the project after we had done the first and the second stage. There will be an appropriate time over the course of the next year or so to be reviewing where we are and where we're going, alongside the developments, the commercial, the office, the residential developments that sit within the development plan have always been envisaged as an integral part of making the district work, both in terms of its future funding, the funding of the arts activities, but also how it works in terms of relationship to the communities.
OK， 下一位副主席。
Next Deputy Chairman. Chairman, this subcommittee is responsible for monitoring the implementation of the WKCD project. authority people and government officials are here to be accountable to us. But I don't think the papers we have today are helpful at all. So you are doing certain things here, certain things there, but then do we have quantitative indicators to tell us whether there is enough, whether we are doing enough? Let me go back into history. Now, $21.6 billion. It was said very clearly that the amount did not include software. And at the time, Mr. Chang Tak-sheng, the secretary, was asked about Section 4 FGH under Cap 601. Mr. Lynch, please understand that in the Bills Committee we had a lengthy debate from A to N. They were written down after very careful consideration. So FGH under Section 4 Cap 601, we required the authority, the WKCDA, to develop and nurture local arts talents, and also local arts groups and local arts practitioners. These are your statutory functions, Mr. Lynch. If you can't fulfill these requirements, if you can't fulfill these functions, you are in fact breaching the law. Let me say this. And Chairman, we can go back to the minutes of the meetings. At that time, LegCo was extremely concerned. Home Affairs Bureau, LCSD, ADC, APA, LCSD. We were concerned as to how these would help work with the HKCDA on the development of cultural software, because $21.6 billion didn't include or cover software. And Chang Tak-sheng, during the resumption of second reading of the bill, said that in 2015 the first batch of venues would be there and the government would be working with the HKCDA. There would be ongoing discussions to develop cultural software. Because we were worried. We didn't merely want the hardware. We wanted the soul, the spirit. And the cultural software means those on the stage, those working at the backstage staff. Today we have the Education Bureau people here. I can remember at that time LegCo asked when the curriculum for students would include arts education, arts and culture. Now today we have so many people here from the Education Bureau, those responsible for curriculum development, those responsible for arts education, those responsible for visual arts. Chairman, give them some time to tell us what they have done. We don't have quantitative indicators. Now, I'm not saying that Mr. Yu hasn't done his job, but have we done enough? And we are here to monitor the implementation of the WKCD project. Are there objective indicators for us to measure what has been done, whether what has been done is enough? And how can we make sure that the will be able to develop the cultural software in Hong Kong? So, Chairman, ask the authority to tell us whether there are objective indicators. Ask the Education Bureau to tell us what it has done. Ask us what the APA, the ADC have been working with the HKCDA to develop cultural software in Hong Kong.
Who from the Education Bureau would like to give an answer? Well, as far as the curriculum is concerned, we do tie in with this. Starting from the year 2012, we have completed the first DSE exam for the first time. We have already got the other learning experience, among which we have got an element called arts development, and it accounts for 5% of the curriculum, and it is a must for all the students. And many schools have been providing a lot of a new learning experience other than the traditional ones. So media arts and among others sort of offered to the students. We understand that 700,000 student visits were recorded in the year 2012 to 13. I think most important is that we do create a culture to appreciate arts. At the same time, we have also provided a lot of training opportunities for teachers so that they can learn about the new directions and the new modes, among which you find the West Kowloon programs being included. So we want to create a good ambience for the arts appreciation. Dr. Lee and Mr. Tai, do you want to add to the answer? Within the curriculum as a whole, arts education is also one of the learning areas. So all the way up to senior education, senior secondary education, arts education is a compulsory part of the curriculum, starting from basic education. Just now, Mr. Yip referred to arts development in OLE. All senior secondary students will benefit. And then for individuals who are particularly interested in arts, they may take elective subjects, say, for example, visual arts, music. And there's also one special element, and that's in applied learning. And in fact, we have got quite a large number of arts-related subjects. And in the past, students were not able to choose from them. Now they can, say, for example, comics, image design, jewelry design, all such are meant to help students who may want to have further studies in such areas so that they can have a career in creative industries. Mr. Chair, like many people, to me, WKCD isn't just about hardware, it is also about software. First of all, as members have asked, I'm also interested in this question. I just see if the administration can give an answer. For software development, I'm sure you need to have an overall policy objective. I think it's high time for you to evaluate whether it has been successful or not. Are you happy with the outcome, or do you think that there are inadequacies in certain areas? Do you need to follow up on others? I will be interested to know about it. Now, the WKCD project is being underway, and there will be a number of batches. I want to know whether you have been readjusting your software targets in the light of the changes to the project. For the development of cultural software, please tell us about the latest position, and please also tell us as to how much more resources will be needed. Yes, the same question like the one asked by Alan Leung. So, have you set down some objectives? And do you have any yardsticks to measure whether you are delivering? Who will answer this question? Mr. Chairman, the government coordinates the work of different organizations. Last year, we came to the Joint Committee, we gave a report, and in November, we submitted a paper setting out in great details what has been done in capacity building, audience building, and arts education. We've provided all the figures. I want to emphasize that arts education and audience building cannot simply be judged by the quantitative indicators. I think quality is also important. So while we are taking this forward, the LCSD, the ADC, as well as other organizations, have been doing this on an ongoing basis. That is, they have been examining the effectiveness of their audience building, capacity building, and arts education programs to see whether there can be room for improvement. So we emphasize the quality as well. Yes, we'll try to see if we need to have a separate item for this one. WKCD, what about software development? Do you have any targets? What is the latest position? And what about your indicators? And is there a way to measure the outcome to see whether you're up to it?
I don't think that the part of the jigsaw that WKCD occupies can be divorced from the whole of the rest of the development of cultural software through the education system, the tertiary education system, the arts organisations and LCSD and ADC. So I think clearly that's an issue that has ramifications for future government policy. But to go back to Mr Che's question around where we are in terms of development, we have clearly made some concessions and put some constraints on the development of various parts of the organisation to respond to the changing sets of circumstances. We still see the ongoing work that is done across the performing arts and the museum side of our activities as incredibly important to parallel with the development of the building. So at the moment the focus is on public activities that would take place in the park, in free space, in the big public venues. That's a really important part of what we're doing. Clearly on the ZSHU side, being able to advance the business models, the operational models and the development of who is going to be in those venues is incredibly important, and that's relatively clear in terms of going forward. And then in terms of the museum, we are building a museum, we are building an organisation to run that museum and building a collection to be in that museum. And so clearly they are very interrelated issues that are moving forward to coincide with the building project. And I think we will work as best we can over the course of the next 3 years to ensure that the cultural software side is running in an appropriate way in parallel with the building side. And then we would hope that there will be quite significant impact from what we're doing alongside what's being done by the education bodies, the tertiary sector and the arts organisations themselves. But to just say, can we lay down objective numbers or quantitative as to what the state of cultural software is in Hong Kong, I think that's a rather big ask. We can do it in regard to the specific areas that we're charged with, but I think it requires probably a broader cultural policy that looks at the relationship of who is involved.
Mr. Yu, you want to add to the answer? Just now, Ms. Lau asked certain questions. I would like to take them in one go. Now, for the WKCD and its future relationship with the LCSD, it will be complementary, and it has to be so. I just cannot see how the future work of the WKCD can replace the work of the LCSD. And then for the mode of management of the WKCD, I think it is not going to be the same as that of the LCSD. First of all, the funding model is different, and we are not being run by civil servants. The majority of our employees used to sit on the other side across the chamber. I was also one among them in the past. So I don't think the mode will be similar to that of the LCSD. As to the sort of blueprint, the software blueprint, the cultural blueprint, as to whether we have quantitative targets, we have to act with caution. If we come up hastily with some quantitative indicators, we may easily degenerate into bureaucracy. with the projects underway, the next time we come, maybe we are able to talk about the concrete blueprint for different venues, like what has happened today. I think it is quite different from what you got from us a year ago. Second round of questions, 2 minutes each. Mr. Chairman, I hope that you can go back to talk to Danny Young. He's also a board member. Whether you agree with you, I think probably he has read the documents given to the LegCo today. Mr. Lynch has said that he has got the blueprint, or I want to know whether Mr. Young has got something else which is not already incorporated here. So maybe the board of the WKCDA can also have a discussion. It is important to talk about the relationship with the LCSD. Mr. Lynch also talked about the broader cultural policy. I don't think we will disband the LCSD. Mr. Yu said that there are different modes of operation, but still you need to coordinate. You need to supplement, complement each other. So please go back and consider drawing up a blueprint. Otherwise, next time you'll get another submission saying that you don't have one at all. You are giving people an impression that you're not able to do it. And bear in mind that it is a submission from one of your board members. So please go back, gather up the work, and then put together the work, and then come back with another paper. Helena, I think this is a paper to report to us about what has been done in the past concerning development of cultural software. I think it's sort of like a laundry list. I agree that some of them are good, but today's focus isn't about what was done in the past. We want to know what will be done in the future. As Ms. Lau has said, today we heard that we very much hope that the WKCDA will work together with the LCSD. Please give us a very detailed blueprint for cultural software development in Hong Kong. And please do it together with the Home Affairs Bureau. You need to draft such a consultation document, and then we can consult the public, and this joint committee can have a discussion, and then we can look at the issue of governance for the cultural sector, including the WKCDA, and how the WKCDA is to have a division of labor with the LCSD, arts education in schools, arts education outside the school setting, and then audience building. How do you take it forward, and what are the indicators, what are the benchmarks, and what are you going to do to strengthen the frontline arts groups? They have to play a more important role in the future. And what about the liaison with the international groups? Before Mr. Lynch goes away, I hope you can sort of give us the international experience so that you can help us to enrich the culture of Hong Kong by having more connections with the international arena. And of course, there is this question about the linkage with the mainland. Mr. Chairman, I agree very much with what Mr. Lynch has said. For the development of cultural software, it can't just be for the WKCDA alone. And in fact, this isn't what the LegCo asked for when we gave the funding in 2008, $21.6 billion. The government made it clear that it would not include cultural software. At the time, Mr. Chang Tak-sing, Secretary for Home Affairs, did say that they would talk to the WKCDA. Now, they have had 6 years' time. Now, we are here to monitor. I've already complained about the lack of assistance. If it is a matter of accountability, then the HAB should also be accountable to the LegCo in this matter.
So, when CAP 601 was enacted and passed, the Secretary for Home Affairs said something. I think the Home Affairs Bureau and the WKCDA should have talked and come up with a clearer blueprint. In fact, at that time, we did have a discussion on whether figures or indicators could be used to quantify the development of cultural software. At the time, we felt that figures would not do. But then perhaps you can rely on other indicators. For example, how many students take part in arts examinations, whether there is any improvement on their performance, and so on and so forth. So please do find some ways for us to help us monitor your performance in terms of the development of cultural software. All right, I think time's up. Thank you very much for coming to our meeting. And we're going to have one meeting in July. Can I have a reply from the authority and from the Home Affairs Bureau? My suggestion is that they should get together and have some discussion and come up with some yardsticks. Yes, we can go back and think about it. I'm sure the authority will also do this. In fact, I wanted to respond to what Mr. Yu said. You shouldn't only be talking about the future. You should have considered the matter. Now, I think what the HAB has said is very bureaucratic. In fact, Mr. Yong said that WKCDA was more bureaucratic than the bureaucracy. I hope that this is not the case. But anyway, all right. So,
Deputy Chairman.
Okay.
All right. So we've scheduled one meeting for July, members, but then members suggested that there should be a public hearing on interfacing between the WKCD and the nearby areas. And so we're going to have one more meeting in July, so 2 meetings in total in July. So thank you very much. The meeting is adjourned now. Thank you.